Hey guys, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, Bali. How is everybody? Kathleen, Lady Blue. How is everybody? Stasia, how are you? Edie Cook. Let's see. I just want to make sure I said Joyful. How are you? Good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday or Thursday. I'm sorry. It's Thursday. Thursday morning. You got that damn rooster still bothering you, my friend? Wow, that's bad. That's bad. I love to see you guys talking in the chat. Well, I bring up my stuff, I often look and see you guys in here talking, so that's pretty cool. I like that, I like that. As always, thank you, Kathleen. Always, always, always. Appreciate you. And Patricia, so I must have missed her. I'm sorry. Anyway, hopefully I said hello to everybody who's here so far. Creative has gotten here. Ron here. Hello, hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. So I've got a few things that I wanted to go over, and one of you literally begged me, and there's no reason to beg me. I don't mind covering a case, as long as I feel like I got something to say about it. You know what I'm saying? Shay, 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 shay. Okay, so one of the people, they're not even here, asked me to go over Christa Pike. And the reason why I'm going to go over Christa Pike isn't because of her crime per se, because I don't know anything about it. And there we are. But I'm going to go over Christa Pike because she's only going to be the second woman ever in the state of Texas to be taken out by capital punishment. Yeah. For her crime. So I thought we'd go over that. And because that's kind of psychological, right? Because she knows that her day's coming. It's supposed to come in September. Supposed to come in September now. So she's living on like, what do you do? What do you do in your head when you know when you're gonna die? I mean, seriously. Because she does. That's kind of a benefit, but not so much, right? Seriously. So I got a new setup here. And I'm not sure if it works for me because I feel like I got to look up too high. They didn't do that yet. They did not do that yet. I got a video. Should I share it? Should we start with Christa Pike? Do you guys want to start with Christa Pike? Because I've got Mackenzie, Shirlla, and more BS to go over. I'm going over a video somebody went over. And then I have the threats that somebody goes over in regards to the threats from Celeste for singer D4vd, David, right? So let's start with Christa Pike. Is okay? We'll start with Christa Pike. And here we go.
Everything you on September 30th, 2026, the state of Tennessee.
September 30th, 2026, right? 2026. So
Tennessee intends to execute Christa.
They're going to take her out. That's what they say. So that's okay. It's okay that she's bad to the core. Wendy Williams in the chat. Somebody asked me to do this, and they're here in the comments. I mean, in the chat. I'm not gonna call them out. If they would like to take credit for it, there's not a problem with that. But I certainly don't want to call somebody out on something. But this was something somebody asked me to cover, and we will continue to cover it as it gets closer and closer to her unaliving by the state of Tennessee. So, or is it Tennessee or Texas? It's Tennessee, right? Or is it Texas? Let's listen.
Pike by lethal injection at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. If it proceeds, she becomes the first woman executed in Tennessee in over 200 years.
I think she's the second one total, though.
She is 50 years old. She entered the system at 19.
She's been sitting there for 31 years for those that can't do math. I'm joking, seriously. Okay, 31 years. Do you try? Is she doing good? Is she not doing good? What's her incident report? What's her DAR?
And the version of events most people following this case have never fully heard is not what happened in January 1995. It is what has happened every single day of the 30.
She hasn't gotten it together, it seems like, right? So this is pretty interesting, and I do want to thank the person in the chat that knows that they sent me. Well, they didn't send. They just said, "Hey, can you cover this, please, please, please cover this." Pops and Sass, how you doing? So again, we're going to cover it.
Years since, because the sentence handed down in Knox County Criminal Court in March 1996 was only one layer of what Christa Pike has been.
Can't say that I'm familiar, except for when I was looking into this stuff, that I even knew what the crime was. Her name didn't. I'm sorry, it did. I'm just being honest. It didn't mean anything. So I don't have to be a content creator that pretends to know it all. I don't. And I didn't know anything about this until somebody said, "Please, would you cover this?" And again, it's one of you guys in the chat section here, and you guys have been around for a while, a lot of you. So I am doing it because, again, it was something that I could put some passion behind.
What's happened inside the walls of the prison she was sent to is a completely different story. And it is one that the documented record has already written in full. She arrived at what was then called the Tennessee.
Now, guys, we can't help but reflect, in my opinion, we can't, and remember, guys, I have to keep interrupting this for copyright reasons, but we also can't forget that, we can't forget that Mackenzie Shirlla, right, is going to do, we hope, at least 30 years, right? At least 30 years. What is her life going to look like then? It's kind of like there's hindsight there, even though it's not her, right?
Prison for women in 1996 as the only woman sentenced to death in the state.
I'm glad you're good, Pops and Sass.
That single administrative fact, not her behavior, not a security assessment, not any disciplinary finding,
really
determined the conditions of her next 30 years. Because the Tennessee prison system had no protocol for managing a sole female death row inmate, it defaulted to the only option it had. It placed her in a cell and left her.
So this is the way her life was there. And supposedly, because I was listening to some of this as I was, recording it, supposedly it's only it's not funny. It's not funny. So it's not funny, but supposedly she's only been out of the cell. There's no redemption here. So they treated her as such. She came in long before the fucking tablets, long before all of the luxuries. And I'm all right with that.
There. The cell is 7 feet wide by 12 feet long.
Wow.
84 square feet. A standard parking space.
84 square feet.
Inside it, a bed, a shelf.
Yep, that's about the way it looks. Yep. And there's going to be a bed somewhere over there. That's your toilet and your sink right there.
A sink and a commode.
Yep.
The door opened for one.
The only good thing about that, in my opinion, honestly, is that you can shit privately.
An hour each.
But you're stuck there with it too.
The remaining 22 to 23 hours belonged to that room. This was not a punishment for anything she did inside the prison. It was the operating consequence of being the only person of her classification in the entire state. The men on Tennessee's death row at Riverbend moved through a tiered system. They progressed from level C to level B to level A based on behavior. At level A, they can eat communal meals, attend workshops, hold.
So see, they have a tier system that they could go and strive to. You know what I'm saying? They can go and strive so that they have, not that they're going to get out, but that at least they'll have a better life until death, or that they'll have a better life until death, whether it be by capital punishment or just aged out. You know what I'm saying? That's a nice way of saying expiring there, right? But I don't know that they had that.
Prison jobs and spend meaningful time outside
in prison
their
jobs.
cells.
People love
They have
that.
access to other human beings in a structured and ongoing way. Christa Pike had none of that. For nearly 3 decades, she had the cell. Here is what the research on prolonged isolation tells us.
30 years, guys. This is fascinating. And guys, I'll go over the case with you. I don't know much about this. Is fascinating. But I'll go over the case with you. But there's nobody crying for her to get the fuck out of there, pardon my language, right?
Opinion, but as established clinical fact. The United Nations has classified indefinite solitary confinement as a form of torture.
Thank you so much.
Neurologists and psychiatrists who work in this field consistently document that prolonged isolation disrupts the brain's capacity to regulate emotion, erodes social cognition, and produces measurable damage to psychological function. These effects do not require
30 years in a cell. That's isolation. That's isolation. You know, that's not communication. So what we did was we stored this woman, you know.
Years to begin. They appear within days in some individuals.
Imagine if that's what people like Mackenzie Shirlla had to look forward to. Imagine if that's what was out there and people said, hey, no fucking tablets. I'm just going to be stuck in a fucking room all by myself and let out for 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. They'd think twice, right? But what's coming out of where Mackenzie Shirlla is, it's almost like you got a line trying to make yourself a bad guy to get into prison. It's ridiculous.
And they compound in a person who already carries pre-existing neurological and psychiatric conditions. Christa Pike carried both. Confirmed organic brain damage from prenatal alcohol exposure, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. None of these were diagnosed or treated at the time of her arrest. None were presented to the jury at trial. She was managing, without any clinical support or language for what was happening inside her, conditions that would challenge a person in a stable environment with full access to
guys,
care.
I want to say something about this chat section. Hopefully none of you are thinking about any kind of unaliving.
She was managing them in a parking space. She is currently medicated with 4 separate psychiatric drugs: Topamax, Wellbutrin, Abilify, and a 4th mood stabilizer for the bipolar disorder and PTSD that her current clinical team confirmed years into her incarceration. The jury that sentenced her to death in 1996 heard nothing about any of it. Now here is the part of her prison record that most coverage presents as evidence of who she is, without the—
This one, Stasia, this one is sitting there like that. You know, and I'm sure it's because she got in and got grandfathered in. You know what I'm saying? The others, no, I don't think so.
Context that explains what it was. In August 2001, 5 years into her sentence,
I would agree.
She attacked a fellow inmate named Patricia Jones with a shoestring. She was subsequently convicted of attempted first-degree murder.
Okay, so while she was incarcerated, right? That she did that.
Murder, and received an additional 25 years.
Yep.
That conviction is real. The circumstances surrounding it: a woman with undiagnosed and untreated bipolar disorder.
Okay, so listen, there's people that have, you know, to me, we can get into this whole friggin' debate, and I don't want to, but we have to pay attention to how we feel. You know what I'm saying? We have to be real and honest with ourselves about how we feel. So she was untreated. Maybe she self-medicated, but she was untreated. And so she's a victim too. Hey, I'm not okay with what she did, but she's a victim too. And you know, we have to remember that. That's, I think, where grace comes in, where you pray for her soul when she dies. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And hey, pay attention when you see somebody go from there to there. You know, you can't really support them. You got to say, hey, there's a middle ground here, and it's called content, and you got to get there. And unfortunately, we feed ourselves with so much shit that I think that some of this stuff is making us unwell. And I don't want to get into that. I think that because why all of a sudden there are all these sick people coming into the world? It's just there's something going on.
And PTSD in de facto solitary confinement with no clinical support
Okay? She's lucky she didn't have anything to take herself out. I don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe she can you imagine 30 years like that? Wouldn't you? I mean, at some point, what are you waking up for? Like, it's got to be, you know how time flies? Not so much there. I hope nobody lost any coffee on that one or that one. Seriously. Or that one.
Adjacent to
Imagine that. I don't know if I would assume she gets books, but I don't think there's a telly, you know?
the most
She
severely
might just get the Bible. Like, I would think that they have to give her the Bible,
mentally ill and
or at least parts of the Bible at a time, because they're not, you could, you know, kill yourself eating paper. Seriously. So, you know, you can suffocate yourself like that. So the Bible you could definitely do that with, but I just, wow, 30
behaviorally
years.
dangerous
What's
women
the
in the
point?
facility are also real. Then in 2001,
As long as she's not going to school and shit like that, then that's an okay punishment for the crime.
and again in
And then
2002,
to add on to it with the shoestring. But then again, I mean, that's the way it is. But had she have been diagnosed, maybe she would have gotten help for that. Maybe, right? I mean, that's not what happened, but
asked the courts to drop
Oh,
her
yeah.
appeals entirely
Oh,
and
yeah.
carry out the
that's why sometimes, like in solitary and stuff like that, they'll only give you so much toilet paper. And yeah. And that's why sometimes people are naked and they don't even have that turtle suit on, because you can eat paper. Yep, sure can.
execution. The court set a date, August 19th.
Hang on, I want to read this
2002.
comment. Hang on, I want to read this comment. Wendy Williams. Appreciate you all the time, Wendy, and it's good to see you. In September 2024, Pike reached a legal settlement with the Tennessee Department of Corrections after filing a lawsuit alleging that her bond. They did, in my opinion. They did. But see, they did. That's the bottom line. Do I think that that's an okay punishment for certain crimes, as opposed to putting people through college like we did Ted Bundy, or giving people like Wade Wilson? I mean, these are people up on death row, or people that have already been executed. Okay. Give them tablets and phone calls and able to make money and buy them whatever they want. I think this is a better punishment. I think people with the right mind would be deterred. And I think we need to do something as a society to get every person that comes into this world checked for things. Because if they need help, then they need help. You know, we have no fucking responsibility, but we're the first ones to fucking crucify. We're the first ones to destroy, but no responsibility in you know, civilization.
She changed her
Being
mind 3
civil.
weeks before it. The appeals were reinstated by an appellate panel. The execution did not take place.
Hi,
A woman
Janae.
who had spent 5 years in a parking space with an unmanaged and undiagnosed psychiatric condition had twice asked the state to kill her.
No worries.
That is the document. Draw your own conclusion. Then in 2012, a personal trainer from New Jersey named Donald Coote began writing to her.
Yeah, but they need, exactly, but they need to have like a balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's going to be one way or the other, this is the way. In my opinion, this is the way. There's
Prison.
no interaction with them. You know, I'm so
By mid-2011, he was traveling to Tennessee to visit her in person. At one of those visits, he met Justin Heflin, a 23-year-old corrections officer at the facility. Coote recruited Heflin into a plan to trace and duplicate a prison key and break her out. The Tennessee
This is why people don't need to be staying in prison for any real length of time when they have either a capital punishment or not, because somebody
Bureau of
tried to break
Investigation
her out.
received intelligence about the plot in January 2012.
I understand. I get
Both
it.
men were arrested by March. TBI Director Mark Gwynn confirmed the plan publicly. The last thing law enforcement wants, he said, is a dangerous fugitive on the streets.
Wow.
She remained in the cell. Now understand what she was facing internally at the same time those events were unfolding. No release date, no parole hearing, no...
They don't have anything to lose. When somebody, seriously, when somebody is doing, when they have, capital punishment or life, seriously, then they don't have anything that's worth anything for them most of the time. That's their feeling, is like, I have nothing to lose. So that makes somebody even more dangerous when they have nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard on the deputies because they have something to lose, and it's not a fair fight with the COs. You understand? So they're really not trying to have a lot of interaction with these people because they're thinking from a totally different way of thinking, as far as somebody who's looking forward and going home to their family at night.
No review mechanism of any kind.
I think that, and so what's the other option? To sit them in like hotel suites with their iPhones and shit like that. And that's no punishment. That's no punishment, in my opinion. So there's got to be some sort of middle. And I think I found it, guys. I'm serious. I think they should work 8 hours a day, go to schooling for 2 hours a day, something just to, you know what I'm saying? And have therapy at least 2 to 4 hours a week. That's what I think. Honestly, that's what I think. And I think it should be mandatory. And I think every prison could be self-sufficient.
When someone receives a finite sentence, even a long one, they have something to anchor to psychologically. A date, a version of a future that exists somewhere beyond the walls they are currently inside.
What song? Jesus Christ, Superstar.
That anchor is more important to psychological survival inside prison than most people on the outside ever consider. Christa Pike has no anchor. The death sentence upheld.
All right, but I don't want to be president of anything, but it is a good plan and they could do it. But here's the reason why they won't do it. Because they're making money off of these privatized prison systems, off the privatized prisons. And they're making money from the commissaries. There doesn't need to be that. I can understand the commissaries, but there doesn't need to be what the hell is on these commissary lists now. I'm serious. Not when it's so friggin' hard in society for good people that haven't broken the law. This isn't rehabilitation. This is a hotel for bad people.
Held at every level of state and federal appeal, carries no minimum term to count down from, no parole board to prepare for, no sentence review coming that changes the fundamental outcome. Every morning she wakes in that cell, the situation is identical to what it was the morning before. And in the absence of any external structure to hold on to.
What was that movie? Oh shit. Caddyshack, not the Caddyshack movie. Groundhog Day.
People find their own.
Root beer barrels.
Hers is documented.
I don't think she gets root beer barrels and stuff like that. Seriously, I don't know that she has any money or stuff coming in there. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. It's interesting. I might look into seeing what she's able to get on death row. Yeah, she's thinking that was I almost said Howard Stearns, Stefan Stearns. Yep, and his root beer barrels.
She converted to Buddhism.
Mom.
Not the version of spiritual engagement that prison systems encourage for management purposes.
Certain people. Root beer barrels, Mom.
A sincere practice, verified by a formal spiritual advisor who now holds an ongoing relationship with her and has been formally excluded.
Listen, guys, where else do you come? 3 imitations I just gave you. I gave you Stefan Stearns, I gave you Ryan Anderson, and I just gave you Elvis Presley. All for the price of nothing.
Excluded from the execution chamber under Tennessee's current protocol. She meditates. She creates paintings.
Come on, man. Be a member.
People who have seen them describe them as genuine work,
but I
not
appreciate
institutional art therapy output. She writes letters, long ones.
Well, she has no time, so they do give her paper.
Specific ones, not the kind produced for
Yep.
legal purposes.
I imitated
In a-
him. I am mom, I just did it. Mom, I need some because he's got that real like broken voice. Like, Mom, I need them root beer. Can you send them? I need some root beer barrels, Mom. I did it better
Documentary
before.
filmed from inside her cell, she said, I know I do not deserve to be out walking around with everybody else in normal society.
I like Howard Stern,
I
too.
did
He's grown
something
up- he's grown up
horrible
a little bit,
that is
like we all did.
unacceptable, and I realize that. In a written statement, I take full responsibility for my actions and regret everything that happened that night. If I could take it all back, I would. I am not even close to being the same person I was over 25 years ago.
Was this before or after she tried to unalive the person in prison?
In a letter to the Tennessean, it sickens me now to think that someone as loving and compassionate as myself had the ability to commit such a crime. The Tennessee Attorney General's office responded to her legal filings with one
Liar, liar, pants on fire. That's how they say.
line. We wish Pike's commitment to the sanctity of life had arrived in time to save Colleen Slemmer.
There you
That
go.
line is accurate, and it does not resolve the question of what 30 years of documented psychological destruction inside a cell does to a person, or what it means for what happens on September 30th. In September 2024,
Hi, Amy. How
after
are you?
her attorneys filed a civil rights lawsuit arguing that her conditions constituted
Amy. How
cruel
are
and
you?
unusual
Thank you.
punishment, the state settled. For the first time in 28 years, Christa Pike was permitted more than 1 hour outside her cell per day. She was given access to a prison
Do you
job.
believe her?
She was allowed to share meals with a small group of other incarcerated women. Her attorney said this settlement would be life-changing. That was 22 months ago.
So for 20, remember I said, so they've changed her status. They moved her status a little bit. I'm good, Amy. Thank you for asking. I haven't seen you in a minute. Creative, you're always so nice. Thank you so much. You don't have to do that, but I thank you so much. Did Wendy get that? Wendy Williams get that? Who got that? Thank you.
Because Tennessee's revised execution protocol
So listen, so they've let her eat with some people probably bigger than her and stuff like that.
adopted in December 2024 mandates 14 days of isolation before the execution date. 14 days alone in a cell. The same condition a court found unconstitutional in
There's a thing that somebody said about
2024,
that it was unconstitutional.
reimposed as mandatory procedure.
Look,
The same cell,
reopposed. So they went ahead and did it again.
the
only
same
22.
walls, the same 84 square feet.
As opposed to the 24. See, it's 23-1. I mean, you know that station. I don't know the gentleman's name, but I like him. I watch him. 23-1 lockdown. 23-1. That's being in solitaire. You know, they have to let you out at least 1 hour. And when I say let you out, like the way that we did it where I worked was there was a pod. Oh, thank you so much, Kathleen. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathleen. So what they have to do is it is literal. It's totally literal. So what they do is they'll pop your door so your door opens and you're able to walk out and everybody else is locked in. And all you can do is just really pace. Pace. That's it. It just gives you a little bit of freedom. And I don't know. I don't think that that's usually the shower time. I think shower time is something different, but maybe not because again, they have to do what they have to do. You know, if they're shorthanded, and a lot of times they are, then you get what they give you. Sometimes, man, you don't even get out. So
Before the end,
they don't care.
a clinical psychologist reviewing the protocol filed a formal
That's
statement in her
punishment.
case.
That's punishment, right?
The deliberate
But you're not supposed to stay in there for any real length of time. Actually, what happened, and this was about a year ago, right? A little bit longer than a year ago. You guys could look it up. New York State and New Jersey State, I believe, it was both of them. they had a strike. I'm pretty sure it was a union strike where all the COs went on strike, and it was because they wouldn't allow the COs to threaten solitary confinement for any certain amount of time. They can only allow it for like 3 days. In 3 days, that's a holiday for a lot of inmates that, want a private toilet and everything to shut down so that they could reset. So that was where, they only allowed that much time for the COs to do that. And the CO said, that's the only thing we have. That is our only weapon against them. So if you're going to take that from us, fuck it, we're not going to work. And seriously, you guys could look that up. So
deliberate withdrawal of human connection in her final hours is not neutral. It
was
replicates,
sweet, right?
with harsh precision, the abandonment she has known her entire life.
That light's bothering.
Now here is what makes the September 30th date something more than a calendar entry. On May 21st, 2026, Tennessee attempted to execute Tony Carruthers at Riverbend. The same institution, the same chamber. The contracted physician attempted to establish an intravenous line.
Guys, this is
Carruthers
this is a trigger warning. Thankfully, I heard this. This is a trigger warning, okay? Because this was botched. This was a lethal injection that was botched. And it's pretty graphic, guys. The light's bothering me, like I'm seeing those crinkles. I think that just made it worse, though. Yeah. So please, just trigger warning on this, okay? Trigger warning on this.
Carruthers was punctured more than a dozen times. The process ran for over an hour. Media witnesses sat in a darkened viewing room with the curtain closed between them and the chamber. They could hear him groaning. The curtain never opened. The physician later stated under deposition that he had not placed a central intravenous line in 13 years.
It's not funny, but it's funny. So you got some, hey, have you ever done this before? Oh, yeah. 13 years ago. Not a problem. How much are you? How much are you? And you did it when? Last week? We'll go with you. You're cheaper. It's all about the money.
He held no hospital privileges anywhere in the country.
Listen.
He had attempted to access the most dangerous vein in the body using...
Can I just tell you that that's really horrible? That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible.
A manual technique no longer considered standard medical practice.
Yes.
The execution was halted.
Yes.
The governor issued a 1-year reprieve. That is the machine Christa Pike is scheduled to enter in 97 days.
So that's the same exact thing that Christa has to look forward to. I'm sure she's heard about it, but I wonder if she realizes that it's true. The other guy's got a year to look forward to that again because he got a year reprieve on that one. Can you imagine?
She suffers from thrombocytosis,
I
a
agree,
blood disorder involving dangerously elevated platelet levels. She has small veins, the same physical characteristic that prevented Carruthers' execution from proceeding.
Oh, clearly, I don't think so either.
Attorneys have stated formally that pentobarbital, given her specific blood condition, would cause hemorrhaging in her lungs. The medical expert in the case used one word for it: drowning.
Thank you so much.
Her Buddhist faith
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Prevents her from selecting an alternative execution method. Doing so would require her to participate in a process leading to her own death, which her faith prohibits.
That's absolutely correct.
The 3 men Tennessee executed in 2025, Oscar Smith, Byron Black, Harold Nichols, each received exemptions from the 12-hour communication blackout before execution. Each had access to their...
Absolutely. There were a lot of inmates that passed. Absolutely.
Spiritual advisors. Christa Pike has not been granted that. Her Buddhist spiritual advisor is currently excluded from the execution chamber under the state's current protocol. Governor Bill Lee has...
So that guy, her spiritual advisor, is not allowed to be there to say goodbye to her. She's not really getting anything her way. She should be the example, right? She should be the example. not fucking Mackenzie Shirlla, and certainly not Gypsy Rose Blanchard, right?
Has made
Fair
no
enough?
public statement about Christa Pike.
I don't think
No.
so. I think that that's it, my friend.
The August
I think
28th
that's it.
deadline arrives first. That is the date by which the warden at Riverbend must
so.
formally notify Pike of the
think so.
execution method. It is the last major procedural step before the legal machinery becomes
Lovely
difficult to
Rita.
stop without direct court intervention. After August 28th, the window for the kind of administrative movement that changes outcomes narrows significantly.
Oh, thank you,
So this is
Stacia.
where it stands.
Thank you so much.
A 50-year-old woman who entered a 7 by 12-foot cell at 19 and spent 30 years inside it because the system had no other provision for her.
You know, let me tell you something. They also have firing squad, which I thought, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like that seemed very like an antiquity right there, right? So you know, just imagine that. Nobody lost coffee on that one, hopefully. But seriously, the electric chair, not good. None of it's good, right? I would think that the most humane way would be by lethal injection. And you know, I'd certainly like to think that when we have to put our dogs down, that it's humane. So I don't know if they do it the same way. This guy, clearly they didn't give a fuck about hitting a vein or something like that because come on. Imagine that. But I you know, I don't know. I don't know. I think that sitting in your cell and you know, getting out an hour a day, like even that can give you a routine, give you something to look forward to getting out for that hour a day. So I don't know, you know, I don't know. Yeah, and I think it depends on the crime too,
A
right?
woman who arrived carrying brain damage the state never measured, psychiatric conditions the jury never heard, and a childhood that court filings describe in clinical terms as a catastrophe from the...
So that's something to consider, right? How was she raised? Look at her punishment. You know, an undiagnosed sick girl.
very first day.
I'm not okay with that. I mean, seriously, I don't listen, if you take a life, bye-bye.
A woman who attacked an inmate, asked twice to be executed, survived an escape attempt, and then spent the remaining years building something interior from almost nothing.
This is her.
A Buddhist practice, paintings, letters, 4 medications, and the slow management of a brain that was compromised before she drew her first.
So seriously, so she's done some artwork there. She said, but it's only been in the last 22 days, I
breath.
believe. I mean, 22 months.
And on the other side of this case, a mother named May Martinez in Florida, who has waited 30 years, who has asked for one thing consistently and specifically for 3 decades: the execution to proceed so that the case formally closes, so that physical evidence recovered from Christa Pike's jacket on the night of the arrest can finally be released.
So it's the mother of the victim.
May Martinez cannot fully bury her daughter yet.
See?
That is what 30 years of legal process has produced for a mother who lost a 19-year-old girl named Colleen Slemmer on a rainy night in January 1995.
Right?
Both of those realities are the case simultaneously. Neither cancels the other. September 30th is 97 days away. The machine that will be used failed 6 weeks ago. The governor has said nothing. The 14-day isolation window approaches. The warden's deadline is August 28th. I will keep you updated the moment anything changes in this case.
And I will keep you
Subscribe
updated.
and turn on.
And I will keep you updated as well. So this is Prisoners on the Inside, guys. Prisoners on the Inside. Now, you want to either go to Mackenzie or you want to go to Celeste? Tell me. First one to say something in the chat. We'll go to Mackenzie or Celeste. Where do you want to go? Hey, where's Sizzle? Sizzle's here. Lawyers have different psychologists picked out, and ready because they know their professional opinion would win their case. People don't understand that is truly a medical opinion, and that hurt. So something as often as causing an internet struggle inside of my head. Okay, inside of me. I'm sorry about that. Hurts people with no money. Celeste. So we're gonna go to Celeste. Hurts people with no money or public defenders. They didn't say anything. The government didn't even mention it. Wow. Right. Okay, so we're gonna go to Celeste, guys.
Few sus people. I was looking at them.
All right.
Notes. I'm going to take a photo and put all of my notes into a PDF file. I was thinking they must have made some kind of notes. I'm going to take a photo and put all of my notes into a PDF file, not that kind, and put that onto Patreon, on my free Patreon, free membership. So you don't have to pay. I'm not telling you go pay for my Patreon, yo. You got.
So this guy's got some free stuff on his Patreon, but I think you have to be a member of his channel. I forget his channel's name. Forgive me. I'm going to go ahead and I will put it in the description below.
Give me money for all this stuff.
No, fuck that. Let's go here. It's right here. This is the name of his channel. Unfortunately, I can't see it because there's something over it on my end. Trap Morris, right? Trap Morris. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is his channel. You can go check it out, and I'll try to I will remember to put, hey, Pussycat. Whoa, good to see you.
There were a few sus people in court today. Few sus people, I was looking at them.
All right, so here
notes. I'm going to take a photo and put all of my notes into a PDF file. I was thinking they must have made some kind of notes. I'm going to take a photo and put all of my notes into a PDF file, not that kind, and put that onto Patreon, on my free Patreon.
She was a girl.
Free membership, so you don't have to pay.
They found her, or she died. I don't know if she died one day after her 15th birthday, or if they found her a day after her 15th birthday.
I'm not telling you go pay for my Patreon, yo. You got to give me money for all this stuff. It's just another place that's independent of YouTube's ridiculous censorship and just.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. So there's nothing wrong with that. This guy's not trying to charge extra.
Like falsely
it
accusing
might be
me.
Something for his members, but that's okay. There's a lot of people that have tiers with their members and give them, perks and stuff. I just can't do that. I just
of promoting child abuse, which is absolutely untrue. I'm going to put it on Patreon on the free tier, so you'll be able to read all of my notes, and then basically not going to be able to hide anything from you. Okay, that's how it's going to be. And then from there, I'll see if I can get you that video.
I know
we've done a censored version of it, but I'm not.
Since she was 11, and he was what, 15, 16?
Not sure if I can even put.
Come on.
That out because I'm too scared. I don't want to be banned from uploading for a week because there's a lot more things that I want to tell you guys about. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, let me tell you everything that went down today that we heard about on day 5. So basically, okay, I can't tell you that. All right, let me just look over this. Tell you what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to, let me find a good little spot. Okay, I'm going to hand this to you, good sir, and I'm going to grab my notebook. I'm going to stand here. Hopefully I'm looking all right. We haven't got too many people around here. It's still a media circus going on over there.
I'm fine with you believing that. I'll put it up there. I don't believe that. I don't have that much grace, I guess. I don't have that much grace, especially when there's no remorse. No. And we don't have the money to fix broken people like that. I think that we should, before they get that way, we should try to help. That's what I think.
Just heard from Beth Silverman, the deputy district attorney, the main district attorney, as well as Celeste, family lawyer for the civil suit. So
maybe then we'd find more of the Siders families. Maybe we would, but yeah, that's what I think.
I've probably uploaded that video before this one, so you might have already seen that. Hopefully the audio is decent on that. We were kind of at a distance fighting to get sound, but I'm hoping that worked out for you guys. But basically, this is the gist of what went down today. I'm going to be really careful and a bit slower so I don't say anything that's going to get me in any trouble. But David came in court. He was in a chatty, decent mood. He was kind of cracking some jokes with the courtroom clerk and his lawyer about being really thirsty.
You think that this guy could be fixed? He's in there joking. The family of this little girl is there. He's being accused of a horrific thing. He's in there joking around. He's not home. He's in jail. And he's in there joking around. There's songs about Trapped in My Tesla and about homicides and Celeste. And she was just a child.
And he wanted some water. We saw him have a drink. I'm not gonna lie, there were a few sus people in court today. Few sus people. I was looking at them thinking, where are you from? Who are you supporting? What's going on with that? But I didn't see anyone I recognised, that's for sure. Celeste's parents were in the courtroom today, and they were there when they were, you know, arguably just absolutely slandered by the defence team.
You never heard about the car that they found or anything? The car, the Tesla?
Made some really bold accusations about the family, which I wasn't super happy to hear, but I'll explain it all to you now. So basically, they said that there were literally 8,000 or 9,000 texts from the last bit of testimony up until the day that Celeste was killed.
Yeah.
That kind of really surprised me. They were texting thousands of times.
You know what I'm saying? His parents knew about it. So she was threatening him with text messages, you know, because she was a child. She had never gone through any of this before. And the thing is, so instead of, you know, trying to buy her off even, or promising her, hey, you know what I'm saying? He just, not only did he unalive her, I mean, what he did was inhumane. This motherfucker shouldn't be walking. I have no problem with him sitting in the cells. I have no problem with him sitting in a cell for 24 hours a day. End of story.
All right. No, you ready for this? I'm going to be
one toilet. That's it in a Bible.
Really careful what I say.
You can give him, I don't care, 10 pages at a time.
But
he needs to keep reading it over and over.
I do think that, to be honest,
every 10 days he's got something to look forward to. Another thing of the Bible. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna read you some of these messages, but I'm gonna be really careful about how I say it and what I say. But what I'm about to tell you is gonna blow your little mind. Sorry.
Asia, you're cooked. Asia's name came up, all right?
So Asia is the other girl or woman. I'm not sure how old Asia is, but Asia was the third wheel that she was very, very jealous. This young girl was very jealous. Because this was her first relationship. Shit, 2 years before she met the guy, she was in her single fucking digits. Like, come on, man. Come on. This was a grown-ass man co-signed by his fucking parents. Come on.
And it was insane. We saw a text message from Celeste basically saying this. We'd heard this rumor for ages, and I've talked about this rumor. And I'll be honest, I mentioned this in my earlier coverage when all these Reddit rumors were going around, and I actually felt bad for even saying this, but it turned out it's true. This supposed love triangle between David, Celeste, and Asia, it came up. They showed, Beth Silverman, the deputy district attorney, the sniper herself, showed text messages in court from April the 22nd, the day before Celeste was allegedly murdered. Celeste messaged David, said, but can you tell me why you want to be friends with Asia?
The day before she was unalived. The day before.
Mental, all right? David replied, basically saying she was a friend of his, and she apparently replied. We didn't see what David's response regarding Asia was. We didn't see that. We just saw Celeste basically being very jealous. Admittedly, she was clearly a jealous lover. You shouldn't be in love with a child that's...
Exactly. My God, come on.
She got the maturity of a 14-year-old because she was a 14-year-old, all right?
If she had the maturity of that. If she even had the maturity of that.
It's not really a surprise there. But basically, she then followed up, said, bro, just jump into her. There's no need for friendship. Keep her as an acquaintance like Lane Cooperstein or Rob.
1 year as a friggin' teenager. 1 year as a teenager. And this guy is walking in to a courtroom that is showing all of this. And he's joking around.
Morgan Roth. So Asia, Lane, and Rob all came up in a back-to-back triple combo, which I could not believe. It was like the Avengers of despicable people who have acted like they had nothing to do with this. Well, Celeste knew who all three of you were, and she knew about your friendships. She said, just bump into her. Just bump into Asia. No need for friendships. Just keep her as an acquaintance like Lane or Rob. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? What on earth? So after that, we basically saw
in the house.
Celeste follow that up by saying, and you're really saying you'd end our friendship just to be friends
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And she was just 11 when she started hanging out with him.
With her, talking about Asia over me.
11.
And then she said, that's
And he knew
disturbing and
it.
disgusting to me on a deep
You looked at her, you knew.
deeper level. So after that, David replied and said, when did I say I'd end my friendship with her for you? And then Celeste replied, someone who's known you for years over someone who knows you for 1 year. I didn't want to be friends with you if you still want to be friends with her. So Celeste was jealous
An ultimatum there. It was an ultimatum.
of Asia. That's now been proven. Okay. The day before David allegedly murdered her, she basically was kind of like going back and forth with David, calling him out. I'll admit, I don't know if Asia had knowledge of Celeste's feelings towards her. The jealousy, these allegations, I don't know to what extent.
But the thing is, these text messages, right, are the day before she or the coroner, the medical examiner, before she was, they said, unalived. So they either have that from the medical examiner, because I don't know how they figure that shit out. If I knew how, I wouldn't be sitting here doing these videos. I'd be telling you about that. But not only that, but they have to know because of like the video cameras of when the car was moved, the last time somebody was in the car, the last time the trunk was closed. What's the frunk, right? I hate that word. The front. Excuse me. Hood of the car is the trunk.
Asia was aware.
Very ugly Tesla.
Celeste was aware of Asia and she was jealous of her. And she was suspicious of David's relationship. She said, keep her as an acquaintance like Lane or Rob. She was aware.
You are 100% correct. I agree. Absolutely. It's absolutely horrible.
Of Lane. So this idea, people were talking about, there's a rumor going around that Celeste might have been staying with Lane.
And we've watched it. We've watched it while we've cracked down on other things. We have said that this behavior is okay. And we've seen it with stars, with celebrities that have messed with younger kids. Paul Walker, his girlfriend was fucking 14 years old when they got together. He was a grown man. I don't know much about Paul's, and I don't think, but that's true. That's true. And it was just blindsided. Now, maybe Paul didn't do these horrible things. He didn't, obviously. He didn't unalive. But he had no business doing that either, you know? And I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just saying, look at what fucking Hollywood does. They just close their eyes. But yet to this other shit, which is absolutely just as horrific. You know why? Because there are people in the higher echelons that see this behavior as not a problem. And the guy in our highest office doesn't see it as a problem.
She wasn't at the main house with David. Rob was mentioned. So Celeste knows who Lane and Rob are. The fact that this little girl who David was messing with, that you're all going to deny having anything to do with, she knew who you lot were. That's damning, to be honest with you. So anyway, all right, as Celeste said, she said, oh, I've known you for years. You've only known Asia for 1 year. You should be friends with me. That was crazy. Celeste basically went on to say, why was she at your house then? And David was like, at my house.
Exactly.
When? She said the address of the other house. I guess he still had it.
I mean,
and David,
look at Epstein files. Look at that. Look at that. Next, I would like to say that the schools should include human development. They should, but they've cracked down on everything. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Claudia, I don't know if you're from this country, but we have cut back. We have fucking cut back on everything that gives anybody any kind of individuality or any kind of power. You know,
it was like, oh well, for Coachella, everybody came to get wristbands, so she came over for a reason. Basically,
it is true. You can look up.
There was a good reason.
You could look up his girlfriend. I wouldn't say something like that. Listen, it's true, but you can look it up when he started dating the woman that. I mean, he was going to marry her and everything. Look at Elvis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, I know that was way back then, but if you guys looked up celebrities that had people that were underage that they were with, you'd be surprised, but it's true.
She came over, and this is where it got crazy. All right, I talked
Not
about this in a
saying
short
that they
earlier.
did
But
these
Celeste
horrible things, but they had no business doing anything.
then threatened to kill David. I'll keep it real. Look, it's bad, it's damning, but that's
No,
what
you should
happened.
look it up.
So Celeste basically said, "Oh my
Very
effing
good.
God, I
know that
swear
was
to
a
God, I
while
will
ago,
kill
but still
you."
the same.
She was in my seat. I think she's talking.
Elvis Presley too. You know, his Priscilla came over and lived in the house. I don't think anything happened before marriage with those two, but she came over and lived in the house and finished high school in Tennessee. She came from Germany, I think it was, because that's where he met her. She was a military brat, and he was in the military. Remember?
Talking about maybe seeing Asia like sat in the seat of the Tesla that Celeste usually sits in, or perhaps maybe there's a seat in the house that's usually reserved for Celeste that Asia was in, but she was jealous. She said, "I will kill you. I will."
Listen, and this is what they're trying. So this idiot thinks that because this 14-year-old fucking child, she was like, how long was she in the Tesla for, right? So he really thinks that he's going to go with this defense because she threatened, because she was a child and she said, "I'm going to kill you,
Strangle you.
I'm going to strangle you,
and tell my dad so many lies and do so much damage to you and end your career."
So that's a serious threat. That's still not a reason to unalive somebody and cut them into little bits.
That's crazy, okay? Doesn't mean she deserves to die. This is a 13-year-old wilding out. How many 13-year-olds have said, "I'm going to kill you" before? Absolutely. This is a kid. So and I don't care. A lot of people are now saying, "Oh."
I just want to say, don't you think, seriously, with the money that they have, that they could have shut her up? I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but that they could have done that, right? They could have shut her up. They could have spoken to the family and they could have shut her up. Again, not the right thing to do, but messing with her to begin with was not the right thing to do. So, but none of this should have resulted in what it ended up as.
Oh my God, she threatened to kill him, self-defense. Nonsense. Ain't no self-defense. This was a kid. This was a kid that was just
I agree.
Wiling out, talking rubbish, talking nonsense. Doesn't matter. Not self-defense, but obviously it was bad. But really that just says to me the lengths that David had actually pushed this minor to. She was so frustrated with him that she was talking about she wanted
his money will go good right here. It'll all be needed
to kill him. So she went on to basically say, she posted at your house, you weirdo. And then on the day of the murder, they continued talking to each other. They talked about seeing each other. He sent an Uber. David said to her, "Are you coming at 9 or is it too early or late for you?" Celeste said, "I said I can go whenever."
So this was supposedly the day of the unaliving, right? The night.
David basically leaned forward and stared at the screen. While these messages were going on, David was locked in. Now, after that, Celeste said, what you mean, leave at 9 or get there at 9? David said, leave at 9. Celeste said, actually, yeah, or I can be in Riverside for it too if you want. She went on to say, by the way, is it chill if you get the Uber for me at 8:30? I'll be back in Lake Elsinore. It's hard to get Ubers there. And then later on, David said, so get it to your house or down the street or something.
And this girl she thinks she's won a fight. She thinks she's won the battle of her and Asia. She thinks that she's got David's heart. What she doesn't realize is that she's walking in to the most horrific scene for her. And that these are the last few hours of her life.
And Celeste said, let me check. She sent him an address that I won't read to you.
I feel like the last 48 has to do a video on this. They have to do a program on Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
And she basically, David went on to say, why do I have to show you everything I get? And Celeste said, because you had she didn't say this. I don't want to say it.
Creative. I know what you're saying.
I've got to be careful what I say. But she basically, to the effect, said, he said, why do I have to show you everything I get? And Celeste said, basically, because you made me, I was expecting.
Okay, so she got pregnant. He didn't want it. he made her. And now she's throwing that back up in his face. And he sees it as a threat to everything that he's worked for.
Because of you.
Yeah, I can understand your confusion there, dumbass. I can't understand your confusion there, because had you have just kept your eye on the prize, which apparently was getting on stage, you would have left this fucking child alone.
At a certain point, all right? So after that, now this was interesting. Celeste kept calling David like queen and girl, and I think she was trolling him, and I think she low-key was like bullying him, like, you know what I'm saying, head under the arm, ruffling his head. Like,
you can just now do a Google search on that, Lady Blue. You'll be very surprised. You'll be very surprised.
Like, she was just like, she was dog walking him at some point. She was like, get my Uber queen. Like, he was calling her, she was calling him queen, and low-key making a mockery of him. And I just thought that was quite funny. And she actually clearly had a sense of humor, and she was sort of still roasting this fool right to the bitter end. So the address was shared. I won't tell you the address, but the address was the address. It was what it was. And then basically they went back and forth. David saying 4 minutes, 1 minute. Okay, he's there. And she said,
I got news for you. This little girl, she probably could have grown up to be an amazing woman, because she definitely had a spirit that was uncontainable. It's too fucking bad that it was put in the hands of a despicable, dangerous, dumb fuck.
and okay, and then while she was in the car, as we heard before, basically she was calling him queen. Then she said girly pop. She was calling him girly pop, which was hilarious. She said girly pop, I'm almost at your door if you're home.
I love that. Girly pop. Night Convos, KNIGHTCONVOS, Night Convos, says girly pop. That's what they used to call Gypsy. Remember?
He replied, got you, gate open, door unlocked. He didn't say, I'm going to open the door. He said, gate open, door unlocked. Now, that's something that the defense were trying to rely on later, basically saying, like, oh, you know, he didn't say he was there. He didn't even say that he was there. Like, how do you know he was there? He didn't even say that he was there. And it's like, gate open, door unlocked. Like, bruv, come on, he was there. And the cell tower suggested that he was in the vicinity of his own home.
There you go.
This is when the alleged lies began. So this is when David basically said around 10:31 p.m. And here's the thing: she arrived to the car at she arrived to his house allegedly at 10:10, and that's when David said gate open, door unlocked. All right, when she said I'm almost here, 7 minutes before that. And then at 10:33.
These are legitimate text message, guys.
Yeah, all right.
Shout out.
David says, Uber said you're here, where you're at. Hello? Bro, Celeste?
They've worked really hard.
After that last message from Celeste, where she said, this is so sad, but the last thing she ever sent was girly pop, I'm almost at your door, open if you're home. She never sends a message ever again in history. The girl she never ever sent any message. That's the last message she ever sent in her whole life. All right?
That's the last time they hear from her, is girly pop, open up the door. I mean, I'm serious. That's the last time. And you know what? I'm sure that rattled him. I'm sure that pissed him off. You can't be public and have your skin so thin. It doesn't work like that. And this guy just felt like he can get away with anything. And the fact that he could plan such a he planned this shit. He got the pool. Remember, he got the incinerator. He got this shit. He wrote songs about it. He shouldn't be among us. He shouldn't be walking among us. Not sure his parents should be either, be honest with you. He was a minor when he got involved with her, but they also knew that he was going to grow up and that she was way, way too young. Way too young. She was 11. He was 16. If not 17. Who co-signed this? And don't tell me you can't look at an 11-year-old and see them as 11 years old. You ain't seeing them as 21. Man.
And you want to believe that because David's going, where are you at? Hello, bro, Celeste, where you at? And then she apparently, like, this is like 10:33, 10:36, and then there's no messages from Celeste ever after 11 p.m. And then basically, David then messages her at like 11:30, says, bro, blocking me? Hello? Bro, I'm going to call you, bro. You're scaring me.
I heard that her mom would sleep in a room with her because she was afraid that she was going to wake up and run away. But all they had to do was call the cops. I'm serious. All they had to do was call the cops.
He was lying. So
put up a fucking camera and call the cops. Get him when he comes in.
Allegedly. So then by 11:41, he's saying, dude, what the F? Where are you? Please. And then he never texts her ever again. She never sends a text ever again after that. It's over with at this point. It's completely over with at this point. So basically, the detective made it clear he reviewed the Uber records.
Yeah, they could have done better. And her dad was involved too. They could have done better. I think that they paid for, I mean, I think, why else would you let her go? So I don't know.
The victim did arrive at the property at 10:10 p.m.
Yeah, he bought.
And then at 11:30 p.m. And bear in mind, he's texting while this is going on. But 11:30 p.m., his cell phone and his Tesla begin moving north towards Santa Barbara. So interestingly enough, okay, they revealed something that we already knew. But
you're absolutely right, Marjorie.
This was all while David was planning the rollout for his album Withered, which obviously is just a ridiculous name, considering what ended up happening. Now, it could have been a coincidence, or it could have indicated some premeditation. I'm not entirely sure.
They're not in here. I was just shouting out to the channel because they called Gypsy Rose girly pop, and that's what I thought of right away. And I also love that channel.
But at the end of the day, he basically had a bunch of album stuff to deal with after that. Funnily enough, actually, he had been at a meeting with Interscope that day about his album rollout. Now, we ended up seeing all of these locations in his Tesla infotainment. He drove up to Santa Barbara.
Thank you so much, Creative. Thank you so much. I agree, Claudia. I think that you're right with that. And listen, there's a huge problem. Are you from this country? I'm just asking if you're from this country.
All of that kind of stuff. And this is where the cross-examination took place. So Blair took the stand.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, not took the stand, but Blair took the podium and begun continuing to question this detective who was continuing on from the previous day's testimony. And she basically got to blaming Celeste, painting David as a victim.
Well, that makes sense, right? Blaming Celeste and painting David as the victim because she stood up for herself and proved herself to be a jealous, immature girl. Exactly who she was. Just her. And look at what he did. Not only took her life, but he mutilated her body. How do you fucking disrespect somebody so much so? What did this little fucking girl, pardon me, I don't mean that for her. I mean that for him. What did this little girl fucking do to you? Except love you and try to fight for you. And she didn't know how because she was just a fucking child.
Painting David as somehow kind of like being a victim in all this, I'm going to get to it, but she painted out David to be such a bitch, and that David was basically like a victim in all
listen, he's up for the capital punishment, you know.
This, and like he did what he's supposed to do kind of vibe that she was giving, and blame the family. So the first thing that Blair Burke said was basically the first contact with David and Celeste on iMessage was August 2020, right? So that was confirmed. She said that was online text messaging, right? When did they first meet in person? They said they first met in person in November 2023, right? They said first communication with Celeste. What was the first message? So apparently the first message, or within the first couple of messages that David and Celeste actually shared, Celeste asked David his age. And apparently he said 18. Now this is what's crazy.
Listen.
Okay, and I would say that Beth Silverman looked a little bit flustered and a little bit like, just a little bit pissed off at this line, just this general line of questioning. I was pissed off.
Now, I think that this is his lawyer that was pissed off.
Because I feel like the line that you...
Because I think his lawyer's the female.
You could see the avenues they were going down, and it was not pretty, it was not cool. So after that, all right, basically, there was kind of a back and forth, and Beth objected and said, these are like random iMessages, these aren't the extraction from Cellbrite. And then Blair was basically telling the detective, didn't you review these messages? And he was like, oh, I can't really remember.
I mean, this was just for the preliminary hearing to see if they had enough evidence to bring this to trial. I mean, to me, that was a no-brainer.
Reviewed so many messages, he could only remember the ones that the prosecution had put in front of him. For a moment, it almost looked a little bit like...
Well, from a guy who has a lot of money. From a guy who has a lot of money. He had his first success, I want to say, in 2022. He had his first success.
Oh, okay, this is going to be a W in his favor, but then it's like the detective kind of was just locked in and started answering the questions. And it was like, cool, these are iMessage from David's... look, these are the Cellbrite... it was unclear to me, but basically there was a whole back and forth about where the detective was basically like, we got all these messages from a Cellbrite extraction. I can't remember all of them. If you're asking me about specific...
Nobody's average. Nobody's average. There's something special about every single one of us.
Ones you have to show me. And then Blair basically produced a bunch of messages that were apparently sympathetic towards David, that she then showed the detective one by one, and Beth made sure to kind of like oversee that and make sure what was being shown was legit. But anyway, once we moved on to that, okay, they said in the first message between David and Celeste, where Celeste asked David his age, they said David told Celeste he was 17, and the
okay, so
detective was like, well, I don't remember, he might have. They said, well, you admitted Friday that when they first spoke, he was 17. So the first thing they were going for was like this thing that like he was a minor too. I'm going to lean up against this. I think it'll be more comfortable.
Yeah, he was a minor too. He was 17. She was 11. There, come on. That's what I'm saying. The parents.
You want to just jump in there? Thank you. So like this idea that like, oh, he was a minor too. That was sort of where how they were framing it to begin with.
And I was watching AG Tactical, as you guys know, love AG. He had said that David had like a handler, more or less, somebody that took care of his shit. So there's a lot of people that knew about Celeste.
So when they first spoke, he was 17 too. After that, they basically talked about their birthdays. They kind of went back and forth about all the details.
Supposedly, she said she
identified David's birthday.
And what, her parents just co-signed
that was weird.
That? Not one person said, hey, wait a minute.
I don't know if this was a mistake, but I'm pretty sure they said David's birthday was March the 5th, 2005. And I thought I read on Google it was March the 28th. Maybe Google's wrong. I'm more inclined to believe his lawyer, or maybe she misspoke. But anyway, they said, fair to say, out of hundreds of messages you reviewed, you focused on their ages, right? Because when the previous testimony was being given, we constantly heard Beth Silverman pausing and saying, and just remind us, how old was Celeste and David during these messages? And it was always, she's 13, he's...
There it is.
18, over and over.
She's 13, he's 18. Almost 19. Almost 19.
Over and over and over and over again, okay?
So, come on. They knew. They knew. And they knew when she was 11.
So from there, basically they said you looked at tens, hundreds, thousands of messages, hundreds of thousands of messages, and you focused in what was said. So they said on the first message they ever spoke, David told Celeste he was 17, and what did Celeste reply? And this was a bit of a bombshell. David said he was 17, Celeste said, I'm 16. Now Beth objected to that. There was a...
So Beth must be, I'm sorry, on the opposition. So I know he has a female attorney, or at least one female attorney. He might have, I'm sure he has a team, but I didn't know the prosecution.
A little bit of tension. Blair had to rephrase the same question, but she got the same answer, yes.
Let it be a strong woman to get and clear any bad shit that they're trying to say about this young girl.
Okay. So when they first spoke, admittedly, all right, and this worked in David's favor, David was 17 and Celeste had said she was 16. Now, they claimed that over the course of 2022-2023, Celeste actually changed her story and told David that she was 18. Now, after that, okay, Blair would introduce various messages that actually came from the 22nd of April, 2025, the day before the alleged murder. So basically, she kind of established when they first started talking, they were both minors. All right, fine.
Okay, but she was only...
and that she had lied about her age. Okay, fine. Doesn't change the fact this is a statutory offense.
Yep, absolutely. And what about the unaliving bit? Like that we're going to sweep under the rug because she lied about her age? At some point, I guarantee you, a family member of hers came out and said she's only 11 years old.
You could say she's 80 years old. It doesn't matter, because if you abused her and you did the business, you are a criminal. There is no I thought that it doesn't need malice or intent from what I understand for these charges. But anyway, from
You're
there,
right.
okay, Blair Burke would introduce a bunch of messages that were apparently sent either basically the day before they ended up meeting up. And this was pretty crazy, okay? They reviewed that same message that we'd already heard from the prosecution.
Anybody here from the replay crew, welcome and thank you.
Where Celeste had said, oh my God, I'll kill you, I'll strangle you to death, I'll tell my dad so many lies, I'll injure your career.
He didn't have to tell her any kind. She doesn't have to tell him any kind of lie, because all they'd have to see is, wherever she had the undone pregnancy at, right? You don't have to tell any kind of lies, because there's video of them, right?
Life and damage you. Now, this is what was very, very interesting. So after that,
I don't think that she thought that he could get in any kind of trouble for the consensual stuff without knowing that, I think that, I don't know. I think in her own mind, she was probably taking responsibility for things she shouldn't have taken responsibility for as a child.
I can't actually tell you this message.
Hey, Lady Blue. Have a great
She said,
day.
I will straight up mutilate something of David's that's very sensitive. That's all I'm going to say. So basically, David replied, he said, you've turned this into a bigger thing than this conversation. And now, I'm not going to lie to you, it wasn't really even brought attention to, but that sentence was very ominous to me, and I felt like that was the message where he decided to kill her. That's just my opinion, right? Allegedly. But
Yep, so hey, listen, I definitely think that it was the threats, obviously, that made him unalive.
David replied when she said she would mutilate part of him. David said, you've turned this into a bigger thing than this conversation. What bigger thing? What, murder?
Yeah, but he said that. He said
violence. I think that's when he decided, but you guys be the judge of that. And obviously the jury will really be the judge of that, as well as the judge. But anyway, I digress. David says, this is how it goes with you. You have to find out after the fact that you do not listen to me. That didn't really make sense to me. But anyway, Celeste replied, said, nuh-uh, I don't even play like that. I'll dead go to Val's door on some crazy shit, knocking and crying. Now,
so yeah,
anyway, I'll just move on from there, okay? You can do your own research. And then Blair basically went on to say there were 1,200 messages that were sent between Celeste and David on the 2 days before the murder.
And there's people reading these messages, I'm sure, because they're reading the Mackenzie Shirlla stuff. So they'll get these messages. They will be out. I'm sure that they're not out yet. They're reading some of the stuff here, obviously, but all of those messages, somebody will pull.
David basically said, why do you think you proved my exact point? Celeste said, you have one more chance to tell me the truth. She said, tell me the truth, David.
That's the ultimatum, but it does not excuse the behavior that followed.
David, I need to see you tonight. Tell me the truth. Now, bear in mind, the context of this all started, they're talking about Asia. So I don't know if this was other girls, if it's specifically about Asia. I don't know what was going on with that. But
and I think Asia looks a lot like Celeste did.
Basically, right? It was like, you need to tell me the truth. You need to tell me what's going on. Now, a little bit of time
I think he was trying to replace
passes. David said,
I bet you we see Asia on stand at some point.
So, okay, David said, how are you going to feel distant? How are you going to say you feel distant? You pushed me away from the start of the year. Celeste said, if I see you and Asia hanging out, I'll make an anonymous account leaking all of the stuff I have on you.
Appreciate you.
Again, doesn't mean she deserved to die, but she was cooking him. She was ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She was standing up for herself. She was trying to find her voice. She wasn't taught how to do that. After all, the time she spent was with him, around his people. So maybe she saw some of his own behavior and picked it up. Maybe that's how he was getting ahead.
To expose him, she made it very clear that just because someone's going to expose you for being a PDF related file, you don't have the right to kill them.
You have no right to unalive them.
That's no self-defense. This just provided a motive, and I personally feel like accidentally Blair Burke actually provided a lot of ammunition and motive.
I agree, Marjorie.
Because realistically, reading that, it's kind of like, well, it sounds like she gave him no choice, but as far as he was thinking about it, from the perspective of someone willing to.
So this was better. This was a better idea. Listen. This was a better idea for him.
murder to protect their career and finances. Like,
how do you think he's gonna make out?
She had taken it there, so he was willing to take it there. Anyway,
Debbie Blair, how you doing?
She basically, Celeste continued threatening. That was crazy. She said, and I have all the old numbers from my phone printed out, including your mum, so I can contact her if anything.
Another minute. We're gonna go over Mackenzie.
Oh no, sorry, I can contact her anytime, lol. David said okay with a laughing emoji. And then she went on to say, I also have somebody's fiance on my phone, so I could text her, it will spread to your work girl.
Uh-oh.
I don't know who that was. Well, I heard the name, it wasn't a name I'd ever heard before. I'm not gonna say whom, but yeah. So Celeste said she had spread to your work girl. Yeah. So really it sounds like she had connections and phone numbers and contacts to the people involved in his career. So basically, apparently there were threats constantly back and forth. Blair basically said there were hundreds and thousands of texts between them, a lot of threats, a whole bunch of Celeste basically making threats. And Blair basically pointed out of the hundreds and the thousands of texts, did Celeste ever say specifically about participating in a criminal prosecution? And the detective admitted she never talked about testifying or taking it to the cops. She just talked about taking it public. Now,
taking it public and telling her dad. Never about running to media. Never said I'm going to go to the media. I said I'm going to go to my daddy. I'm going to tell my daddy. My daddy will run to the media. It doesn't matter because he had no business.
We found out at the end when the judge made the ruling that doesn't freaking matter.
So there you go. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't have to be taken to the cops. It can just be, I'm going to expose you. That was enough for the.
That was it. That was it. All right, guys. So we're going to remove him. There I am. Thank you so much. Sparkles. I got some sparkles. I appreciate the sparkles. Thank you so much. So now you ready to do Mackenzie Shirlla? Everybody all right? I love this, Debbie Blair. I love this. I love this. All right. Yeah. Rest in peace, Uncle Bobby. Rest in peace. And we appreciate you and your spirit here. All right. So, Mackenzie Shirlla, right? Let's go. All right. Be great. Should I get a t-shirt? Be great. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
She's gonna be.
So, which channel is this? Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I got to remember to put these channels down. IDBH, True Crime. This is a woman that goes over this. I think she has some sort of degree or something in some psychology or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's check it out. Let's check it out.
We're gonna get through this. We will get through this.
You know,
but we'll get through it.
Either way, I'm not gonna be okay. But if I get talked over and charged with murder, I will not be okay.
No.
Okay, so here she's saying, if I get convicted of MURDER, I'm not going to be okay. Baby, what a big surprise. She does get convicted. Spoiler alert. Spoiler, ding, ding, ding. She gets convicted.
We'll just move on to the next fight. That's all.
How is it? That's not going to be for a year or so.
Well, you still might have to serve time anyway. It'll just be time served. Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll do the appeal. It'll just be time served. It's nothing.
Oh my God.
Appeal, day late and $1 short.
Look, Mom, I'm not worried about doing it. I understand that I'm going to have to do some time. I mean,
that's what I mean.
I obviously would rather not. I feel like I shouldn't do any, but that's how.
Well, of course you feel that way. She's funny.
This had to be.
I'm glad we're ending with Mackenzie because I could have some fun with her stupidity and her mom's stupidity.
In the situation,
get your popcorn
but
and your coffee.
Murder,
no, hell no.
That.
Yeah, what her mom is saying. No, hell no. If you spent 5 minutes with her, you see how loving she is. Yeah.
That's just horrible.
Nope. That's what I mean. So we're just going to go fight, and get guns a-blazing.
And I'm so
guns a-blazing, going bankrupt too.
For real, you contact who I told you to contact, that famous person.
I'm on.
Told you, do exactly as I tell you, Mama, because I know what's best.
Yep. You have to,
but subscribe.
I don't know who the other one is, but yeah, you know, I don't know who that is. But also, you can get a protest going and shit,
Yeah.
Put some DNA on that button.
I'm dead ass serious, a whole ass protest.
Me too. Don't forget, we can appeal the fuck out of this.
Well,
no, you can't because you can't get it in there on time. Spoiler alert.
Earlier in the day, I was like, God.
You guys got to enjoy this. This is fun because we already know what happened. But listen to this attitude. Listen to how it's going to be. This is the attitude of the entitled, and it doesn't work out. So this is good because we see it didn't work out, and it's fun, right? See you later, Gutter Snipe. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. I know.
Like, please give me a sign that like my judge is going to like see that this is not murder. Like, please, like protect me. Like,
should have been praying a little sooner than that.
There we go, our man AG Tactical, his little cameo.
So I started reading this book, and then I flipped to the page. It tells me to flip to a certain page. Truth will set you free. I'm dead ass. I read that shit.
Listen, her mom.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the
fuck?
Like,
so if the truth does not set you free this time, we just have to hold on to that. Eventually,
the truth shall not set you free this time. If she doesn't remember, then how come it's not possible that she meant to do it? You can't be sure.
we will. We don't know how long this journey is.
Thank you so
okay,
much.
they are ugly.
I got
ugly people capable of very evil things, as you know. You know they are. More than anybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay? We may have a little fight on our hands. So you're just going to have to just ride this wave, and we will never stop. You know they're disgusting, capable of capable things. They're disgusting.
Whoa. Okay, I don't belong here. That's just what it is. Cool beans. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. And I feel like I've watched this channel enough to know I subscribe to them. I'm pretty sure. So my apologies there. This it is funny to go back because she's not punished, right? She's not punished. Absolutely caused 2 deaths of 2 young men. She has no problem sleeping at night. She has no problem making jokes about a situation. She has no problem. The one time I saw her at the cemetery, seriously, she was in her wheelchair getting sun, it looked like. And people were taking pictures. She should be exactly where she's at. And as far as I'm concerned, mommy and daddy should be right next to her.
The mission of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Number
here.
1 for the Mackenzie Shirlla case. And instead, I found the entire case file.
Watch.
Every bit of evidence that was presented to a grand jury, that was presented during trial, all of the police notes, everything that was presented during both the bind-over hearing and the trial. Now, according to Natalie, on a favor allegedly to Steve.
Okay, so this is a favor to Stupid Steve, STOOPID. That's Mackenzie's daddy, and Natalie's Mackenzie's mommy.
This trial was not recorded, even though it was supposed to be.
So what's it called, a live thing? Like it was live?
It was supposed to be, but it wasn't.
Listen, okay. So look, that's what this is about.
Oh. Well, that's good.
You have 1 minute left. I don't know if that was a favor.
What, do you think it would have been better if it had been a live trial?
Because I was his friend, you know? I don't know.
And I guess that really is lucky for them. Because of that, these guys, I guess, think they could just boldly lie to us.
Yeah, so what this woman is saying is that they're telling us something different than what actually happened in court.
And get away with it. So before I highlight to you all the ways that Mackenzie's parents are undermining her ability
and lying, and I'm sorry, but I think Chris Cuomo is not doing a good job here. It's okay that you support certain things, but this bad behavior, I don't know, Chris, you're right on the fucking line.
To get out of prison, I need to show you more lies from our favorite superheroes.
We recently learned that she was found under the dashboard on the driver's side. When she heard that, she was like, oh my God, I was laying on down for 45 minutes and just started crying.
While
again, we've heard this before. How does that work? She was on the driver's side. He was a passenger. She supposedly underneath. He
not privy to the pictures of the crash, obviously.
But look at that.
Interestingly, what I found in the case file were...
Look at that. Okay, so she was This is where they supposedly were. All right. I don't see where they were together.
Some drawings, some images of what first responders saw when they came upon the scene. Where was everybody in the vehicle?
So that's where everybody was.
So who knows whether she knows that it is complete garbage,
or she just woke up in enough time to remember that,
or
supposedly
not. But it does appear as though she's trying to say that somehow Mackenzie wasn't really under the driver's side dash. She was really found under the passenger side dash. Mackenzie is trying to do better every day.
So they're trying to change the narrative. Again, just like it worked for a little while with Gypsy Rose, which I'll do a video on later today. Same thing here, trying to change the narrative to make her look better. And it's not cool because she's somebody, in my opinion, that lost her temper. And instead of de-escalating, it escalated. And this is what happened. I don't think she really meant to unalive anybody. I think she just saw red and didn't know how to deal with that because she hasn't learned those tools.
I know it sounds crazy, like on the yard, we would kiss and stuff, sneak around and do stuff like that, but we can't go like really,
in the crash,
home run on the yard.
So how do you explain what is reported as an unusual amount of misconduct tickets for
There you go. That's an excellent question.
violating
But if you spend 5 minutes with her, Judge, you'll love her.
prison rules?
Thank you for that. So,
Let's hear
contraband isn't.
And I've always said to you guys, contraband isn't drugs. Usually that's called something else. It's usually drug contraband. Contraband is anything you're not allowed to have. It's still breaking the rules. End of story. Still, you are not following the rules in a place where that's the only fucking thing you have to do is follow the rules.
Like drugs.
And then the second time she was high. She had just got done smoking paper.
For those.
Okay, so I could believe that she gets high there. I mean, shit, she got high on the outside.
We're not up to speed on prison lingo. In the context of correctional facilities, paper refers to how drugs are smuggled into prisons. What they do is soak these materials, letters,
yeah, guys. So just heads up on this. Could be a trigger warning for some people.
Greeting cards, legal documents, etc.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
what they're going to do is, I think they're going to stop the physical mail.
Liquids that are saturated
with I think they're going to stop the
substances.
Mail.
Like
most blues and stuff like that.
Mostly like synthetic marijuana, cheap stuff. Yeah. However, one of the things about paper, apparently, is that you don't always know what it is that you're
There you go. So whatever is that residue
getting. So it's a little like rolling the dice.
Just means that you have something that's not on your vault list. So let's say.
No. See, that's not it. No. That's not. See, this is what this woman is saying too. It's not just something that's not on your list. It's something you're not allowed to have. It's breaking the rules. It's something you are not allowed to have, period, for whatever reason. It's not just, it's just something you're not supposed to have on your vote list. Or You minimize shit, and that's part of the reason why your monstrous kid is where the fuck she's at, lady.
You have, I don't know, five things with you when they go and do like their searches or something. Then that's 5 tickets, 5 separate tickets.
This is very classic evasion. You see how Natalie is speaking.
That's genius. I think that they do the same thing. I want to say that they do the same thing where Wade Wilson is, right? One of the people that I was covering said something about the photocopying the email, photocopying physical letters or something.
Speaking broadly, let's say that
first of all, they don't even have the correctional officers to take care of the prisons and jails. So they don't need extra people going off with mail, and they're not going to let inmates do the mail, especially on their own.
Instead of actually speaking to what is on these misconduct tickets, she's broadly giving us generalizations. What could have happened?
Yeah, see, this woman is correct in everything she's saying. She's seeing what's between the lines, what Natalie is not saying. And that's the thing. That's the thing.
And implying that this is what happened with Mackenzie. And if you pay close attention, she does it in every interview.
Everything.
Because you have somebody, she, like, for instance, she had to go to work in the morning and she didn't want to miss going to work. So she used her friend's alarm clock.
Right.
Look at how she minimizes it. It's not her alarm clock. She's got plenty of money. Why don't she buy her own fucking alarm clock? You've given her plenty of money. She's breaking the rules. She, again, is not staying within the lines. And that's all she's got to do there, is stay within the lines. That keeps her safe.
Because Mackenzie wouldn't want to miss going to work.
Wasn't on her vault list. So that would be considered contraband. So that's
See how minimizing? It's so minimal.
Oh, this is very clever. So here, Natalie brings up a situation that technically would have been considered a contraband item if this was one of the reasons that Mackenzie had gotten written up for a ticket. The thing is, she gives it away by saying, so that would be considered contraband.
But that she's saying, so she's
in other
saying
words,
that's not
had
it.
she gotten caught with somebody else's alarm clock, that would have been an example of, quote, one. That would be, if, of course, that were the case.
then if you have somebody's pillow or like an extra blanket.
See, and I hear this woman, she's saying, listen, all of this stuff is a problem. All of this stuff is an issue. So whatever it is she's done, you see it's so minimal. They're fucking rules. Just like there's rules in society that your daughter broke, there's rules in prison. And all she's got to do is go by them. Or in jail. All she's got to do is go by them. And she doesn't. She fails at that. And you still co-sign it. You still find reason.
That's two tickets. So that's 3 right there, just in the same situation.
You see what I mean? Natalie's being so clever here, coming up with examples of things that would have been contraband.
Yeah.
If
FOI.
this or any of these items were actually the things that she was written up for. Tragically for Natalie, this is all hypothetical and maybe circumstances that she's heard about on jail calls or prison calls, because God knows she speaks to Mackenzie probably 3 or 4 times a day, every day.
We've heard that.
But these are not why she was written up. These are what Natalie wants us to believe. What she's doing here is implying that these were the reasons why she was written up for misconduct tickets. But she is not saying that directly.
She's saying she would have been.
And then the other one, so that's contraband. It doesn't mean drugs. It just means you have something that doesn't belong to you. It could be food. It could be literally anything.
It is. It's anything you're not supposed to have. Absolutely. It breaks the rule. Why doesn't she just realize that?
Again,
it's a hard fucking no.
It could be literally anything.
But what is it?
The problem is, when she speaks here and says the other one, what she's referencing is the other pretend example that she prepared for this interview with Chris Cuomo. She is not, however, giving us any honest examples of what Mackenzie was written up for. Do not let this lying
this woman ain't holding back.
Woman get away with it.
I don't belong here, but she does.
And then the other one would be like the misuse of medication. She thought, she was worried about her health.
So listen, how does she find an excuse for this? Is bullshit. And this is where Chris Cuomo needs to be saying what I'm saying to her. Don't you understand what you guys are saying in the chat? This is what he needs to be saying to her. Miss Russo or Natalie, whatever the hell he calls her. Don't you realize that you co-signing this behavior, she's breaking the rules. And it's the same thing that got her into trouble. She didn't think the rules apply. She's sitting now in prison. Don't you think that maybe she should do a reset and you guys should start enforcing some of the rules, maybe by an incentive program for her?
So she just wanted to take it was a prenatal vitamin because she just wanted to make
sure.
Yeah,
no big deal. She just wanted to take a prenatal vitamin. She had no business taking the prenatal vitamin. None. No business at all.
She must not have felt good.
It doesn't matter what she had. She
wanted to make sure she was
not allowed
getting enough of the nutrients. So she took somebody's prenatal vitamin.
It is truly incredible that Natalie Shirlla actually thinks anyone is going to buy her ridiculous bullshit. But let's take a look at her nonsensical statement here so that you can see for yourself how clearly this is bullshit.
Absolutely is bullshit.
Remember something about Natalie. She doesn't understand how much information we actually have. She thinks, how could we possibly know whether
that's the thing. She doesn't realize that all this stuff has come out.
They're lying.
Sharon Kebab.
So she can just lie with abandon over and over again and get away with it. That is what she believes. How do we know? Okay. She has said it plainly in interviews repeatedly.
How can they possibly know that? First of all,
she's so damn clever, that Natalie, isn't she? So to spare you going through this statement that is not that important for the next half hour, let me just point out the highlights and what my overall take of this statement is. First thing that jumps out is there's an incredible amount of self-monitoring going on. So she is hyper aware of how she's coming across. But what is...
She thinks, seriously, here's the thing about Natalie Shirlla. She really does think that her daughter is a prize. She really does think that her daughter has charm. She really does think that if her daughter looks somebody in the eye and smiles, that she's going to win them over. That's why she told the judge, hey, for 5 minutes, man, 5 minutes, because that's all the judge could handle. Natalie knows that.
More important about this particular statement is that she clearly memorized this story about the prenatal vitamin. And because she memorized it a certain way, she starts to tell it and then realizes that she is telling it differently from how she memorized it. So first thing.
So this is pretty interesting that this woman
this story she thinks is very clever because she's referencing this one.
And she's going to continue to spout off. I'm talking about Natalie. She's going to continue to spout off a narrative for anybody that's going to allow her the platform so that we can continue, Patricia, so that we can continue to be forced, what she thinks, to believe that we got it all wrong about her daughter.
One moment.
The daughter, Mackenzie, is fighting the opposite. She is showing us that we got it 100% right. 100% right is what Mackenzie's behavior is showing us. So who are we going to believe?
To this one infraction, like it's the only time that Mackenzie was ever caught with drugs that weren't hers. So it, like this singular time that this has happened, was a prenatal vitamin. Because she just, big red flag,
didn't feel good.
Wanted to make sure that she was getting. Now then she stops because she realizes that she left out what was supposed to come first in her mind, that Mackenzie wasn't feeling good, but she screws it up.
Didn't feel good, right?
So instead of saying that Mackenzie wasn't feeling good first, which would have been the reason why she was motivated to take the vitamin,
probably money to continue
she
to support
didn't
her.
say it, realizes she didn't say it. So she has to go back, but she screws this part up too. And instead of saying, oh, Mackenzie wasn't feeling well, so she took this vitamin, she says she must not have felt good. Whoops. Then she goes back to the order that she memorized this story in and wanted to make sure she was getting enough of the nutrients. So she took somebody's prenatal vitamin. I mean, it's just
But here's the
so
thing.
obvious.
You see the food that the mother has bought her, right? You see, remember we went over the prices of that food that was bought and everything that she was given, those care packages. She's eating just fine, and we know this behavior. We know that this is only about Mackenzie trying to get away with more and more shit. Her mom's co-signing it. There's inmates co-signing it.
Fabrication.
Hopefully no
and
COs are
even as
co-signing
she's saying it, she is shaking her head. No, this is a bullshit story.
Were some of the tickets as reported for sexually explicit video calls with an ex-inmate?
Well, that I can't speak on.
Again, just breaking
all I can say to that is
she's an adult. She's an adult.
In her early 20s.
Yep, she's an adult. It's breaking the rules. This is what she doesn't seem to understand. You can't, like, this woman needs to hit a brick wall herself. Pardon the pun, but seriously, with the word rules on it, she's broken the rules again. She's not
I can't.
allowed
I
to
don't. I
do
don't know
that.
anything more about that. Or
This one is
No,
almost
I'm talking
funny.
about other stuff. No, they have food there. They have, man, you should check out the video that I did. They have food there that's legitimate food. Like they have steaks, they have hamburgers, they have chicken patties, they have all this stuff. It's just really friggin' expensive, but they have it. And it's a specialty food from Aramark. And they have inmates cooking it for them. It's almost like a food delivery, excuse me, that you would get at home. Go check it out. Tell them.
Because she starts out saying, I can't, and then catches it, realizes that she shouldn't use that phrase because I can't implies that she has knowledge, but is unable, like something is preventing her from communicating it to us, which is exactly the case. So then she switches it to I don't.
She caught her in some lies.
She's trying to say, I don't know anything about that. But instead, she says, I don't know anything more about that. So while saying the word that implies she really wants no part of the subject that we are referencing, using more about that.
The thing about that isn't even that. The thing that matters is that she's, again, co-signing her daughter's bad behavior.
The more I realize how completely and totally BS this is. This is such a garbage story. And Natalie is taking it and running the ball as fast as she can into the end zone. I have to point it out because I just can't stand the lying.
We didn't just diagnose this now. Is that the case?
I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why the trial went the way it did.
Right off the bat.
So it's talking about the POTS thing. I don't know why the trial went the way it did. Well, you know why? Of course, because the Russo family, according to you. It's the Russo family. They just didn't want anybody to it's their fault. You know that. They're so involved with everything. That's what she wanted us to believe.
We have 3 I don't knows. I don't know why. That's one that I'm like.
But she supposedly cared about what she ate. Supposedly.
I don't know. I don't know why the trial went the way that it did. Now, let's be mindful of the question. The question.
Seriously, it went the way that it did. Why do you think? Because people saw it for what it was.
Is this POTS diagnosis a new diagnosis?
No. Because it is.
Natalie is not answering that question. Instead, she has elected to say, I don't know.
We've gone over this. This woman's just showing you how Natalie's
why the trial went the way that it did. This is a classic example of evasion. Total evasion. She didn't like the question that he asked, so she answered a different question.
This woman's fine because she's showing you how Mackenzie's mom is trying to get away with a lie.
Hoping to take the conversation in a different direction, to speak about how unfair the trial was, how unfair their own attorney was, how unfair the judge was. The only problem is she gives herself away. So it's very obvious that she is self-monitoring.
Yeah, she's checking out every word. That's why she's able to get up there and talk and stupid Steve isn't. You know that, right?
That's this second slip up here. That's one that I'm like, gets all screwed up. So she's.
Yes, I would agree with that. If you want to call, I mean, it's not near as much as the other families. That's the only problem that I have with that. And, you know, her daughter's not, because her daughter's popular in there right now.
Trying to self-monitor, but also words are still coming out of her mouth. And that's a huge indication of deception. People that have nothing to hide or that are not trying to withhold information from you don't do this. They'll stop. People that are trying to be deceptive don't do that because they assume that if they stop and they appear to you as though they are reflecting or carefully orchestrating their words, that it makes them seem more guilty of something. However, in so doing, like Natalie is right here, they give themselves away. And then we get the third I don't know.
Listen, the mom here, right? The mom here is just that there's no growth. There's no admission to who your daughter is. There's nothing positive in the mom here. And there's no hope, in my opinion, for Mackenzie in being a better person.
We can't say definitively what it is she's being deceptive for, what specifically it is that she's being deceptive about. Is she being deceptive in that she does know why? Not necessarily. To me, the deception is simply she doesn't want to answer this question about the pots, because in my mind, there was no legitimate.
There isn't any diagnosis from any doctor that diagnosed it. There was something in the file from everything that I saw. There was something in a file that was something that was said to a doctor that then a doctor put down, but no real diagnoses. Okay. I don't know if the mother knew. This is my feeling. You look at Mackenzie, and come on, when you guys miss a meal, you know how you get lightheaded. Mackenzie looks like she's missed a lot of meals. I think that Mackenzie, and I think her sister too, has some sort of eating disorder. And, you know, unfortunately, we heard about the sister hiding food and shit like that. Goes right back to Girl Interrupted, right? Makes you want to watch that movie again. Anyway, seriously, it goes into that. So, and she weighed nothing. And she thought she was beautiful. And there was a lot of reference to food and such. So it makes me believe that she made herself sick. I believe 1,000% that she probably felt dizzy a few times because she just didn't eat. But instead of admitting to that, this is what's said. Maybe her mom looked up online.
POTS diagnosis. There was no table test for POTS. Maybe some doctor somewhere made mention of it, or more than likely,
No, that's not okay. So that's not what it was. So what it was, there was a food pantry. It wasn't open 24 hours. Okay. There was a food pantry, kind of like a co-op. Okay. And I think that's actually what it was a co-op. And they had these lockers apparently outside that people could go ahead and pick up their groceries anytime they wanted. So according to a text message, Mackenzie asked for, I believe, some potatoes, but they weren't specific to when they were going to pick up the potatoes. But the potatoes would have been en route. But the grocery store, it wasn't. It was like it was a co-op, but it was closed. But they did have like some 24-hour way of getting your groceries. But again, there was no proof that they needed it at that morning.
Shirlla hit up Google and came to that diagnosis on her own.
You can have an episode from anywhere between when you stand up, within 15 to 20 minutes, you can have an episode.
So there she should be driving. And then again, she was in such a hurry to drive after the crash. I mean, imagine that. I keep saying that. Somebody needs to ask somebody with any sense. Like they need to ask the mom. They need to ask Mackenzie, hey, if you don't remember any of this, why would you feel so confident to get behind the wheel of a car again? If that's what happened.
POTS diagnosis only came through mom because according to her physicians, Mackenzie did not suffer from any condition that would have caused or contributed to the crash. There were no reported histories of seizure.
No seizure, but I bet you passing out from the fucking not eating.
Shirlla doing everything she can
because
to deceive us by speaking generally, which
gives me the natural craze.
By the way, is so standard operating procedure with people who are being deceptive.
She really thinks she's trying to take his audience in a different way. And he's kind of letting
She's
her
not
feel
speaking
like that.
specifically about Mackenzie at all. This is all Dr. Shirlla educating us as to what can happen if you have
You're being sarcastic, right? Because we know that she did it. She just,
and
listen,
then,
I
God
think,
forbid,
again,
somebody tries to catch you and they don't let you recover by allowing the blood to return to the head.
Instinct is to catch them so they don't fall, right? Well, if you do that, and I found this out the hard way.
Remember, innuendo or these generic or indirect.
I found out the hard way. Not, oh, I experienced it with Mackenzie is what this woman's saying. There's no directness into, I had this happen to Mackenzie. No, it's, I found out the hard way.
References are not the same as direct references.
Exactly.
Saying I found that out the hard way is not the same as saying this is exactly what happened when Mackenzie was having a POTS episode, or this is how the diagnosis came to be.
She is in college and she needs to do that. No, she needs to do that.
She's not saying any of that.
I don't even want to mention the girl's name.
This is her educating us broadly
because
as to
none
what
of the
can
shit
happen
she
with
deserves
POTS.
to get
And note,
out of that
by the way,
right?
none of this has anything to do with how Mackenzie was driving a car into a brick wall at 100 miles per hour.
97, be real.
If you catch them, the blood isn't getting to their head. It's a blood pressure thing.
Absolutely, it has nothing to do with
So if you catch them, you're preventing, your body stays upright and you're not letting the blood get to the head.
But my thing is, why is Chris Cuomo sitting there just quiet? Why isn't he calling her out on anything?
That's when they start to have that seizure, that non-epileptic syncope seizure.
Calling her out on anything?
The only problem with this little story from Natalie is no medical provider anywhere can attest to this actually happening. Now, I ask you, if your child had a seizure, would you
let them get behind the wheel of a car? And if they had this horrible accident, right, which was a legitimate car crash, would you let them get behind the wheel of a car? Right?
Keep that from their doctors?
That was really scary for me. So when she was doing that,
is the singular reference that we get here from Natalie or from Steve at any time that Mackenzie actually had some type of seizure or legitimate, quote, POTS episode. This is it.
When Mackenzie has experienced episodes of POTS, when they pass,
why isn't he asking?
Has she claimed a lack of memory?
What makes you think that she's experienced these seizures that are POTS? Well, because the doctor said, do you have that on record? May I see where the doctor said that? These are the questions I would think Chris Cuomo should be asking. I'm not understanding why he's not.
So I didn't ask her. Remember, it was just the
oh my gosh.
One. So I didn't ask her. Remember, it was just the one.
Because neither of them will directly validate or give you legitimate information that legitimizes this diagnosis. Because it does not exist.
She was like a stick, and I didn't know what was happening because
she was like a stick because she doesn't eat.
This was like a newly thing that was being developed for her.
And this is why language is so important. It is very difficult to lie outright. And just like with everybody else, Natalie cannot do it. So instead, she gives it up. She confesses right in the middle of this big speech about how Mackenzie had this whatever seizure. A seizure that no doctor anywhere was notified about. And these were the medical records obtained from Metro Health, her insurance provider.
That's horrible. When I had a friend that had epilepsy.
Mom was asked under questioning about what doctor did the diagnosis of POTS, her mother said she could not remember their name.
So I had to tell her.
Now, seriously, how many doctors has she been to? And everything would be on file. So
friends.
But not her doctor.
Good,
she needs to lay down. Like she either needs to lay down, or if she's in the process of having an episode, make sure to put her head between her knees. The blood has to get to her head somehow.
So she should be driving, right?
To Kevin Kerr's point, why didn't they did they have the doctor testify about the POTS? They didn't let that in?
No.
You mean at the trial or the bind over?
At the trial and at the bind over.
Because she didn't know the doctor, right? She forgot his name.
Well, no, remember right after the trial was over, he didn't even give the judge her diagnosis for some reason.
Gee, I wonder what that reason could be.
Because it didn't exist.
So I had to make sure to tell everybody. I told the teachers at school. I told all of her friends, new friends, old friends, everybody, because they have to know.
Really? But the lawyer didn't
to do to help her.
Why?
I always tell everybody that she has POTS.
Isn't it funny how not even Steve Shirlla himself believes this bullshit? If you listen carefully throughout Steve's interviews, one very distinct difference is Steve doesn't say that Mackenzie had POTS. Note the question here.
And can you help us understand?
You know, I know that there are certain things that trigger epilepsy, and there are things that don't trigger. I know that, like the lights and stuff like that. But also, I think that, you know, when you're driving in a car, seriously, when you're driving in a car and it's sunny and you're by trees and you have that flashing sensation of shade, non-shade, shade, non-shade, that's something that can trigger. It triggers migraines for me, and I know that it could trigger, you know, epileptic seizures, and people don't realize that. So it could be nature and stuff that you wouldn't even think that affects you, that could so affect you. And that's horrible to live like that and be afraid all the time. And that's horrible too. I went through that, and that's absolutely horrible. So make sure that you have your phone on you or some device.
And in what context did a doctor or any clinician ever diagnose your daughter with POTS, which for the audience is, again, a blood...
Now, honestly, if that was your defense, wouldn't you have the fucking doctor there? Honestly, for your daughter's life? Of course you would.
Pressure-related, heart-related tachycardia, which can cause dizziness.
Very clearly, Chris Cuomo asks, in what context did a doctor diagnose POTS? He is giving Steve Shirlla an opportunity to tell the world where this diagnosis came from, where it originated.
And show proof. I mean, there should be proof, right?
Giving Steve an opportunity to validate the diagnosis. And what does Steve do? Does he, in fact, validate the diagnosis?
No.
You be the judge.
It's in it's on here. I mean, it's in the detective's notes too. He knew about it. Posterior orthostatic
tachycardia,
which is a...
So all that's there, and the reason why I cut it, you can go check it out, but all that's there is a reference to it because it was a mention of something. It wasn't diagnosed. There's no diagnoses at all. There's no finding for it. And still, that's what people are saying about the narrative. And still, now the narrative has even gotten worse, as we know, because they're saying horrible things about Dom, right? Well, that's not cool. You know, Divine, Davion's sister, had watched where Steve Shirlla, he's such a fucking moron, where Steve Shirlla made the comment by saying, you know, if it was just Davion who died in the car that day, there'd be nothing. There would be nothing. And here's this little girl, and he's talking so casually, so flippantly about her brother. And she says, it's been 4 years since I've seen my brother's face. You see the difference in perspective there, right? Yeah. These fucking Shirillas, pardon me, pardon my language, they have yet to step out of their own shoes and get into somebody else's. Would Mackenzie say, yeah, I understand I'm going to have to do some time, Mom, but murder? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's what happens when you lose your cool. Uh-huh. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed your time with me. It's been a couple hours. I do have a Gypsy Rose video to put out, and I did a live stream with Lindsay yesterday on the argument with Toddy One Skip. You could check that out. And again, I got something with going on that I want to put up about the Whitakers and Eric Carroll, who has now come out and decided he's going to do something else after messing up that family. On Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One Skip, and hopefully Jameson and I could do some of the 90 Day Fiance stuff, and she's feeling better, I'm hoping. because she wasn't feeling too good yesterday. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your gifts. Ron, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your gifts. Please like, subscribe, and share. I really would appreciate that. And thank you guys for your belief in me and for your support. And that just means the world to me. All right, guys, be great. Thank you.